Welcome everybody to the last Metanet Meetup of 2025. Is that right? I think it's the 19th. So there's not going to be another one until next year, which is kind of hard to believe. But we're excited to be here, and we've got some cool things lined up today to be talking about. BRC 100 has been getting more and more popular ever since it was released. It's kind of like a snowball rolling down a hill. And I saw, just more and more people posting their apps. So, the community is growing. You can check that out on join.bsv.chat, everybody. If you're not on the Babbage Slack talking about Metanet apps and staying in the loop with all these developers who are in the trenches, really putting in the work that's necessary to make this ecosystem move forward and to drag it unceremoniously out into the real world, down from the ivory towers of academia, and just getting some things over the line for some people who care about making a real difference in the world. If any of that speaks to you, and if you're not yet on the Babbage Slack, then you gotta go to join.bsv.chat.
Get in here, ask us questions, engage with the community.
Yeah, it's necessary for us to explore people's different ideas and perspectives and apps and solutions and problems and complaints and UX things that need to be improved. And there are some people who have been really devoted to just making their voices heard and making their perspectives known. And that's something that, some days I wake up and there are 5 people that have just sent messages, and it's like, yes, I know. Yeah, but like, honestly, when I think about it for more than half a second, though, I realize it's one of the greatest blessings, because people are engaging and they're actually sharing what we need to do to be better and to live up to what this ecosystem deserves, and to make the progress that is necessary towards our goals and highest aims in the world. To change the world and all of that stuff that we're supposed to be doing, because it's kind of necessary. Interesting things happening in the world today, December 19th, 2025. The closest approach of the 3i Atlas. The comet. Maybe there's some air quotes. Comet that's close by. Other things, yes. Anyways, check out metanetmeetup.com if you are watching on X or on YouTube, and if you want to be part of the meetup, if you want to join the studio, if you want to share your ideas, let's put it together. And I'm excited to be, just putting forward a platform where people can talk about the things that they've built. So bring your questions as well for all of our presenters. Today we're going to be hearing from Bridget, who I understand has a cool thing that she's been working on for a little bit. I also see I see Crumbs and I see Brett. So I'm going to bring people up to the stage. We'll start with Bridget. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Hey, Bridget.
And
I appreciate it.
And let's also bring up Brett and Vincent if you guys would like to join. And then we can and let's see. Hello, Crumbs. There you are.
Yeah.
Let's hear what you what you have prepared for us, Bridget. I'm excited to see more more use cases coming online every day, and yeah, we're here to just listen to what you're working on. Maybe
Cool.
maybe ask some questions.
Cool. Yeah, I have prepared a presentation. Before I do that, I want to demo a couple things. So I've built TracePort. It started out as a charity SaaS application to help charities become more transparent using blockchain technology. As I was building TracePort for charities, I, of course, had to have a way to write to the blockchain. And in that process of building that, I actually made the application much broader, and it is now essentially a business data attestation API. So with the TracePort for charities being the first sector. So it's a multi-sector, multi-organization platform on the blockchain server side. So the first thing I'll do is demo the charity application really quickly so you can see this is what someone, this is what a sector could use if they use our API. So
that sounds
great. Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to just share everything so we can move around.
And I'll add that screen to the stage here when you're ready.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. Yep, there we are. So I can see.
All right, so this is a demo organization, STEM for All, and it is the top of their dashboard. Across the top, it just shows different metrics for when different transparency items have been fulfilled. So here, I won't spend a lot of time on these two blocks because they're non-blockchain related, but they are transparency related. So we go out to their latest tax filing, and we grab data that they have reported to the government, and it lives on their dashboard. And this dashboard is private to the organization at the moment. And for all time, essentially, but eventually these types of transparency metrics could be public. So this is the data. And you can just see they're just line items of data, and these are their financial records. So any funding that has come in for the organization, it's going to be a donation, it's going to be a grant, perhaps it's going to be a fundraising event with aggregate amounts. Those are the types of deposits that hit their financial records, and we show them how to bring those in and attach them to their different programs. In the charity world, programs are how organizations fulfill their mission. So it's a very standard language in the charity. So you can see they can also attach a document that correlates to that grant or donation. So maybe it is a receipt that they sent. Maybe it is a grant agreement. So that is the document piece. And then if there's something interesting in the charity realm, a grant is usually, or a donation is either restricted or unrestricted. So that's what this middle column is here. And so we track that for them as well. And we show them if it is unrestricted, then we help them break down based on their last best budget, what dollar amounts went to each grant or each donation amount. So in this case, it was I have it in euros because this is dummy data, but 3229.84, and then it shows which programs that amount went to, how much went to admin, and how much went to fundraising. So I'm talking fast because I want to make sure to get to everything, because right now I'm going to show you how the blockchain piece works. For the MVP, we are we are doing it for them. So this is my company owner admin panel. And so and you can see organizations on the left. So here's STEM for All, what we were just looking at. And so this $58.99 donation, you can see on the right here, I'm about to send 2 attestations to the chain. One is for the record, and one is for a document of proof that was on that record. So I've already bootstrapped this organization to the blockchain server, so we don't have to do that, but that is part of the process. So if I say send attestation, we should get 2 green lights. There we go. And there we go. So that just went out to the blockchain, to the BSV blockchain.
Nice.
And if we pop back over to this organization, and I'm going to refresh so that we can get that proof. And then we want to go to, let's see, I think it was $58.99. 58, not 59, but 58. All right. So here it is, and you can see now the verified. So that means it's on the chain. And if I go like this, you'll see it has the TX ID and it has the document proof ID. I do have a couple reports, but I'm not going to run them for us because I feel like this crowd might more want to know the blockchain server side. So I want to make sure that I get to that. So that's basically the charity sector using the blockchain server that I built, and any sector could use that. And so that's where I'm going to head next. Unless anybody has any questions on this, I'm happy to entertain them. Nope.
I mean, I think it's an interesting idea for just accountability in these organizations, right? So obviously we're leveraging tamper-evident properties of the network to solve a real business problem, just first off, right? And that's huge. And then what you've built here seems to align a lot of the the application is aligning with the way that this stuff works in the real world. So yeah, I mean, you created these proofs, and they were with respect to a particular donation. So would that basically be like, okay, we're saying we're proving that we received these funds, or we are proving how they were used, or what? I guess
sort of both. Now, how they were used is a more complicated aspect of charities. I've worked in charities for a lot of years, and in a lot of times on the system side. So it's not as easy as one would think, like, oh, this dollar went for this. It doesn't really work that way in charities. However, we have to start somewhere, and that's why I'm starting on the deposit side. So the financial side. But additionally, this is what this whole business is about.
Yeah.
I want to help them, because they do it anyway, but a lot of charities maybe don't have this, they do it, but they don't always have it done in a way that you could display in a report. So I did write a little program that helps them do that. So there's a bit of a lift on the onboarding side if they want to have this level of transparency, and so it helps them. Basically, it's your last best budget.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's as transparent as you get. It's I would say 80% better than the black box that currently exists for unrestricted funds, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. Very cool.
Yeah, and then you said that there were 2 things you said. The reports show, that it's on the blockchain, and also, and I'll run one of these verification reports for us. In fact, maybe I'll do that right now so you can see what the report looks like.
Yeah, we got time. We don't have we're not in any rush to
Yeah,
to
there's
run
no
through
template.
everything. We can certainly,
So
can
I
explore this.
think it's not in this one. Where is it? I do have, yes. Okay. So, are you seeing this window across here or not?
Yes.
I'm looking at TracePort admin, and then it looks like you have an alt tab or some type of.
I know. Why is that there? I want to get rid of that. There we go. Okay.
There we go. Okay.
Perfect. All right. So I'm going to generate, this is just an admin panel for the blockchain server. This will become more automated for the charities, but let's do this. So well, before we do that, I have to go to recent attestations. So let me grab a recent attestation. I think hopefully this one will work. So we're going to generate a charity certificate, and this is running 4 types of proof. No. There are a couple in here that there's good reasons why they're not working. This is all dummy data, by the way. So let me try this one.
Crumbs approves.
Okay, that one worked. That's not too bad. Only one failed. All right. So this is it shows that this is a verified record permanently recorded on the chain. And it shows the charity gets to choose which elements they want to hash and put on chain. It is a hash of these data that goes on chain. And so why we see all of this data here is that I have an endpoint in the charity application that the blockchain server calls to grab the data. And then it does a SHA-256 hash of that data and compares it against, yes, awesome, the hash on chain.
Yeah.
So so, we don't need to go through all these pieces, but I show the 3 independent verification steps. There is a 4th. I'm not sure if I have time to talk about that, but I will if I do. But, essentially, I just talked about the data integrity. And then the digital signature verification, I use the push drop shape. And so you can put a digital signature, ECDSA, over the top of that data. And so I do that in this application. It validates that TracePort cryptographically signed this exact data on behalf of the charity. And then, of course, what everyone here knows, we do the proof of existence. I run a block header service, but we'll go through all of this when I run through the blockchain presentation. So maybe I'll hold on questions for this because more will be explained then. But, this QR code, for example, reruns it. Right now, TracePort does all of these verifications, but each of them in some form or fashion could be public verifications. It just so happens that right now, I don't have people using this application yet, but that's when it gets exciting, when it's a public verification, right?
That can be followed by anybody based on their access to the data that they have, and then based on the existence of a transaction.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Can I ask what's been the response of the charities that you've actually approached?
So today, just before this call, in fact, while I was a couple minutes late, we onboarded our first charity.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Thank you. They have, it's called Concrete Couch out of Colorado. It's an amazing arts organization. And they have agreed to be our first pilot. So they're going to use it, make suggestions, show things that aren't working or are working. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah,
we have had a number of conversations with charities in the UK, because that's where I actually started this whole thing, as well as in the US. We've had some conversations with charity adjacent types of organizations. And I will say that the charity sector is more conservative. And when I say conservative, I don't mean politically, I mean technically. And
Cautious of the technology.
I believe.
yeah,
Yeah. I was really interested in what they think of this sort of idea of transparency.
and that is what we're going to continue to have conversations about. We're looking for innovative first movers, and that's what we have with
Yeah.
this pilot charity, because I have a lot of friends in the biz, because I've been in the charity sector a long time. And the friends that I've talked to, they've had reservations. They're like, well, what is blockchain? So there is a learning curve about transparency. And that's why, we're hoping that we get even more of these, technology, innovation, transparency champions who can really show how amazing this is, because it really is amazing. I'm not tooting my own horn that the software is amazing, but I'm proud of it. But the blockchain is what's amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, toot your own horn all you want. This is
Yeah.
this is a great idea for charities, and I think probably a lot of other applications as well. You get golf clubs with that for sure. For onboarding your first client, that's really great.
Yeah.
I think if you can actually show that there's some sort of advantage, that they get more donations, the year that they start being transparent, I think that'd be really cool if you could do that.
Exactly. And that's the idea. Good catch on that. That is the idea, is that small to medium-sized charities don't have the big fundraising budgets.
Yeah.
And they don't have the big teams. And so they're all competing for these donor dollars. And so if they can show donors that they stand out from the crowd with transparency.
Yeah, I can see it working.
Yeah, especially in this day and age where you just hear scandal after scandal, and it's it's disheartening because the bad eggs are the ones that get all the attention. So people don't trust charities in general.
Yeah.
And having worked for a number of charities, there are a lot of really trustworthy charities out there doing really good work. So we're hoping to help with that. So
that's great.
Yeah.
You mentioned.
Go
sorry.
ahead.
I was going to say, you mentioned moving from a charity specific tool to a general purpose API.
Yes.
Do you have any ideas around that? I mean, I can already see applications for like nonprofits, but do you have anything specific in mind?
I have so much in mind. In fact, if I get time, I want to show you a sandbox that I have with several sectors that I've already bootstrapped into the server with some demo organizations. Excuse me. So if we have time, I'll show you how that's all working. In fact, wait a minute. I think my plan was I'm going to show that first. So let me get rid of this and go and get rid of this so that we show, where is it?
Bridget, while you're pulling that up, I just wanted to comment on Bob's thing where, the pilot charity, they mentioned specifically the organic classification, and said that, when organic first came out, maybe, people weren't too familiar with it. They didn't understand it. Not every brand shifted to it. But now you have a whole dedicated group of people that maybe only are going in that direction. And, so the TracePort verification, where you can actually see the data, where it's being used and making it transparent, etc. The hope is to lead a similar brand shift where, businesses have the ability to get that certification to say, oh, well, we're also being very, very,
Transparent. Yeah.
Exactly.
this is what we do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. I mean, I think those of us that are, especially in BSV and blockchain too, generically, we know how powerful this technology is for something so simple and so basically not sexy. Like this is all like kind of boring, but it is a really important facet of what BSV blockchain can do. So anyway, so what we're looking at here is a sandbox admin panel. And this is where I create new organizations that might want to use the API that you just saw, the TracePort for Charities using the same API that these organizations will use, and the same setup. So here, these are all test organizations. I have about, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8, 9 sectors that I bootstrapped into the system. So I'll just show you, how so let's say Atlas, industrial services. I'm going to leave that blank because it will build one for it. And let's use this sector, IoT maintenance and monitoring. And let's say our protocols are sensor reading, maintenance check. That's enough. It doesn't matter. I just want to show you how this works. So now we're going to create this organization. And you can see here that, and this is all live, by the way, in Cloud Run. So you can see that this organization was created into the blockchain server. And now I would just need to activate it, which I don't need to do that right now. Well, I can. So this is activated. And then I would send that organization a dashboard link with this API key that we created for them. So I will just go to one that I already have kind of working that I can, we have certificates for and such. So if I go to this dashboard link and let me do this. All right, so this is, I'm pretend now Rainbow Tree Care. And you can see these were their protocols when I bootstrapped them. And they've done 3 of 100. So again, this is a sandbox. So, use our API and you've got a quota. And so at the moment, we're just hashing JSON files. So obviously, this is a very infrastructure play. So you need IT, person, et cetera. This is not for, a beautiful user interface at this stage. So let's pretend that this is what they want to hash to the chain. And we're going to, we used the job completion protocol. So you can see it's in there. And so when I say generate attestation, it's sending it to the blockchain. And here's the TXID. What it did before it sent to the blockchain is it hashed that data, and it did not store that data, importantly, for, just so you know how this system currently works. Doesn't mean that we wouldn't someday, like the charity app does, store the data and then use that to verify the data. But that, I'm just showing you where I am in my whole process of this. So you can see these are all test attestations that I've already done. They can, they can run a certificate from here. So if I generate that, there we go. That just basically ran the, and you can see here, there's no data on here because of what I just said. We don't store their data. So that would have to be a separate, application side thing, or, maybe we get into UHRP, that whole business, and do decentralized data for them. But this is, these are enterprises, these are organizations. they're not blockchain savvy. And so that brings me to, I want to make sure we have time to run through my presentation, because it shows this crowd. I don't even know how many people we have now, but I know that we're in the Metanet group meetup. And so I have been watching what everyone has been working on, and it's amazing. And I just want to show you how I've built this. I've built it in a way that gets us ready to bridge to that world. And that'll make more sense when I get through a couple things. Can we see the screen here? The attestations?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, super. All right. So I look at this as 4 pillars of innovation. Cryptographic. So we're using single party BKDS. I won't explain it. I'm assuming this is a crowd that knows what that is.
Yeah.
Bitcoin key derivation scheme. And I'm using it with self-derivation. Architectural, the reason why this is an innovation is that I have isolated organizational key spaces with deterministic derivation paths. We'll get more into that in a second. Economic, I'm using 1-sat UTXOs. And when I say 1-sat, I don't mean 1-sat ordinals. I'm using push drop.
Yep.
1-sat UTXOs as living attestations with life cycle management capabilities. And then practical, we're solving the key management barrier that I think enterprise blockchain would, it's helping enterprise blockchain adoption by, I'm doing the key management for them. So, all right. So then, so what are blockchain attestations? They are digital certificates on BSV. Cryptographically signed business data. These are examples: safety compliance records, professional certifications, equipment inspections, basically any verifiable business fact. So living documents, they can be revoked by spending, updated with new versions, complete audit trail. Push drop implementation, as I mentioned, there is a class in the TypeScript SDK for the push drop shape. You could do push drop in any language. It's just that the BSV SDK in TypeScript has it all, in the SDK. So it's all basically available for you to play with, and I did. So let's see, why 1-sat? Because it with the push drop, it keeps it in the UTXO set. So I have a slide on this versus Opperturn, so I'll keep it short for now. But essentially, you could think of this like a digital notary foundation. So with identity integration, this would become a complete digital notary solution. But more than just a notary, because as you know, a notary just basically says this person signed this document. But as we know, what blockchain does with those hashes is that you could liken it to like a checksum in software. So it verifies that they can't ever change that data. And I know I'm talking to a crowd that already knows this, but in case anyone ever sees this again, that is the value of that. So, all right, the architecture bridge, this is what I briefly mentioned. I'm doing single party BKDS. So we are custodial in that sense. Now, custodial meaning it's just TracePort doing these writes to the chain on behalf of the organization. But tomorrow, someday in the future, there could very easily be 2-party BKDS. It's a couple of lines of code, honestly. I've put a lot of thought into this. So same cryptography, different custody in the future. So the mathematical foundation remains unchanged. And we can, if an organization wanted to manage their own keys, we could easily do that. So that I think I mentioned this. So standard BRC 42 two-party. I think this crowd knows kind of how that works, but what we're doing is that the organization derives ephemeral keys within its own key space for the attestations. So every attestation gets its own, or gets a new ephemeral key that ties back to that organization. Excuse me.
And
All right.
does
So
that-
then,
can I
go
ask
ahead.
a question here?
Yeah.
Is that directly related to what you mentioned before about the key space that is unique based on the different protocols that the potentially organization might want to run? Like, for example, imagine that the government, I think they have like OSHA or something that is, managing safety with respect to construction, but maybe they have a separate department. One is managing their own record keeping, and they want to keep data related to their own records, but then the other side is managing actual out on the ground when they go visit a specific facility. So are you saying that is where that lives?
So sort of, not completely, although the system does account for that, and that's those protocols. When I showed you in the sandbox, when I typed in a couple different protocols when we bootstrapped the organization, though, is that what you're referring to? Different, so
Yes.
the same. Yes. Okay, so that does tie into this, but it isn't the single party innovation here. Single party just means that instead of with BKDS or BRC 42, 43, instead of with that, the way that that's taught, from my understanding, is that both parties together create a shared secret, and then the invoice number uses that married shared secret from both organizations to create, in this case, an attestation, right? So, but that is not how TracePort is doing it. We do single party. So we basically do a shared secret with our own essentially key, I think is what I use. If I'd have to look at to see exactly what I use for that. But so, but we'll get to what you're talking about, I think, in a slide here. Yeah, this will. So actually, it's not exactly this slide, but this is the cryptographically isolated organization. And I know this might be a little bit much, maybe not for some, I don't know. But essentially, these three should look familiar to anyone who's taken the Metanet Academy. This is BRC 43 right here. So security level, protocol ID, and key ID. So, but what this shows you here is that the way that I've set it up is that we're using a very standardized numbering system for the protocol ID, because anybody that's worked for organizations know that if you hard code the name of a protocol, it's going to get changed one day. So we don't want to do that. And we want to have the same protocol numbering, but it works in the system because organization B has its own isolated key space. So, and I do that with cryptography, and it works with BKDS beautifully. So, and I know this might have gone over the head of some. I apologize if it does. This is very technical, but it's beautiful. So, why push drop and BKDS over just using OpReturn? Because with OpReturn, you can't really do identity binding, what I just talked about with that the BKDS. It doesn't live in the UTXO set. And it's essentially dead data with no state transitions possible. Now, I know that there are some very creative uses of op return, and that some people do some really interesting metadata inside it for some of these purposes. I personally just think that push drop is a better way. Let's see. Verification infrastructure. So we talked a little bit about the verification types. That fourth type that I didn't show there that the endpoints do run is that the BKDS signature. It verifies that the organization was the signing entity. Let's see. What else do I want to show you here?
Can I ask a question where we
yes.
go back just a tiny bit? I'm sorry. So when you say that push drop is a better reason, or is a better implementation, can I just, hypothesize that maybe one of the reasons why that is your conclusion is because for an instance like, let's just say that we put the data into the op return, but like you mentioned before, TracePort is the organization that is putting that data on chain. So if the data is being put on chain by TracePort, then in order to update that data, you would actually have to have TracePort, the organization, responsible, because that key would tie back to TracePort, because TracePort is the organization that added the data to the chain. Whereas in a alternative scenario where you choose push drop, you could structure it so that TracePort may be the one, the agency that puts the data on chain initially, but using that deterministic key space that you create for the organization, you could allow it so that maybe, once they became fluent enough with the platform, that they could start signing their own transactions to update data records, and they wouldn't necessarily need to include you because the transaction itself, to update it, ties back to their key. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons why using how we're doing it here with push drop and BKDS, definitely. Again, people that have been very creative in this space, might have some pushback on things that you could do with op return creatively to get done what you just said. It's just that this is a much more efficient machine for all of it, if that makes sense. The big thing about op return is that eventually, when we get many, many transactions on chain, which we have to, the op return will be pruned, and so it will be an archive node or an overlay service that would have to return that data, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with op return. It's, as I've said before, no harm, no foul. It's just, in my mind, there's better ways to do things, and that was my goal in creating this system. Short answer is yes, it is partly because of that, the way that it really sings when you can tie it back to that isolated key space for the organization. Whereas op return, it's just, arbitrary output on a transaction ID, right? Whereas this is like, you've got an atomic output. And that atomic output is part of the one of those 4 verifications. Like, you're like hyper focusing in on just that output for your verification. And I think that is very valuable. So let's see, what else do I have? Oh, I wanted to talk quickly about, I did do some testing. And I did this before I put it up on Cloud Run. So any failures I got were from ngrok. And so that was a limitation in my local implementation. It wasn't a limitation on the blockchain server. So we did get 100% success rate when I ran wave tests. This was just my first attempt at wave tests. Obviously, I would want, if we really scale this out, we'd want a lot more. But I've also put a lot of thought into the design of the UTXO management in my, my treasury, so to speak, about building out that treasury through every transaction and splitting change outputs, et cetera. So there's a lot of thought put in that. I won't go into all that here, but essentially, it's production ready for, to start anyway. Let's see. Oh, I did want to show the platform architecture briefly because I thought it might be interesting to folks here. It's TypeScript. Our blockchain is BSV SDK, push drop, as I mentioned, BKDS. I'm running also an overlay express service without the fancy slip and ship and
slap syncing stuff. Yeah,
right. But it's ready for that. That's what is also the beauty of these attestations is that, I picture like an amazing ecosystem of overlay services that could utilize the data that these attestations will create. Infrastructure, Google Cloud Run. Security, I'm using KMS and Secret Manager. Data and state, I'm using Mongo, actually. And then I currently use Arc for broadcast and callbacks. So,
very cool.
Yeah.
So that's the whole presentation.
I like it. Well, congrats on creating an application that has some real utility, firstly, and going out there and actually getting a client as of today. Big kudos for
more
for that.
Definitely.
That's really huge. I think that really, we're bridging the gap between a lot of the research stuff that we work on over here at Babbage, and then actually going and bringing the Metanet into the real world. So it's cool that you have those test results as well. And, you could certainly, go a long way with Cloud Run in terms of scalability and actually, it's gonna be able to scale up to support you. So,
that's my hope.
And I personally, I'm looking forward to the days when enterprises are going to be responsible for their key management. I think we are learning to be more pragmatic in this space and acknowledge the reality that user experience is extremely important, and sometimes that means trade-offs in terms of we might have to manage keys for these organizations at the beginning, but if it brings them into the future where they then see the value in managing that type of thing, then I'm all for it, because it's way better. It's way better that these records exist. And then, of course, even in the case that because someone could try to argue, oh, this is just it's all centralized because TracePort holds the keys. But really, if you think about it, I think that's not the case, because, well, in case of any compromise, right? Suppose a hacker were to steal the keys or somehow get into the cloud KMS and actually grab the keys or something, which I don't even know how they would do that. But the records are still on the ledger and they're time stamped. So everything from pre-compromise is still there and can still be used. And then we can recover accordingly, right?
Well, and you probably know this, Ty, but enterprises use KMS all the time for key management.
Yeah, so they get.
So, the U.S. government uses. I don't know if they use KMS or what they use, but they use for everybody's passport. They use ECDSA for signature, so there's key management there. So key management is not a new thing. It's just that people aren't used to it. I'm probably speaking to the choir here, but it's So I agree with you. I think that is the direction that we're heading, but we just need to bridge this gap with some pragmatic solutions, and that was one of my goals with TracePort. So is to provide a very pragmatic way to abstract away the blockchain from our users, but still give them the power of what it has to offer.
And now across many different verticals too, which, you know,
Yeah.
Mhm.
I remember talking to you back in the day and it was just charity. And now I'm really glad to hear that you're expanding and,
Yay.
you know, it's exciting times. So congratulations on that.
Yeah.
And,
Brett has been like the angel on my shoulder. He's actually the one that got us our pilot charity, and he's also been the one that's sort of been feeding the, like, you know, like every time I'll come up with this idea, you know, like he's, you know, he'll have seeded it some way in our conversation. So yeah, props to Brett.
Okay.
Can I just ask a quick question there?
Yeah.
Because so when you described that there's the single party and then there's the ultimately like the two party, so would that be a transition to a system where on the one hand, you know, we just have only one organization, let's just say it is the US government. They just want to you know, document certain information and they just want a proof record of that information. But let's say ultimately that you know, that the person that their counterparty may also be using TracePort. So basically, what is the progression look like when it's not just a single party verifying their own records, but it's both parties verifying each other's records? And, you know, can you describe a little bit of that?
Not just a single party, but both party. I'm not sure I'm completely following. I apologize. Could you ask it again? Okay.
Sure.
So I want to make sure it wasn't what we've discussed just prior, which was basically single party. It means that we do the key management, we do the rights for them, but there is an isolated org key space for them. Counterparty, when they want to have their own keys, then there's still only that organization. But it sounded like you were adding in another.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my question is about you know, when the verification involves the second party. So for example, you know, Alice and Bob right now, if I understand correctly, the software is set up so that Alice can log and detail her own records about her transactions with Bob and independently be able to verify those. But ultimately, when Alice and Bob are both onboarded to the TracePort platform, and they can verify with each other in a sort of yeah.
I've not thought of that yet, but I bet that is possible. It's just almost that I just haven't gotten there in
it's the next level up. I mean, certainly the math works in terms of
right?
naming the other person and then actually doing attestations privately. So maybe an auditor comes in and you have these private records. You're not ready to sign counterparty anyone and then publish a verification, or maybe you're signing counterparty self. But you actually could say, you know, I'm going to name the public key of my auditor here, and I'm going to you know, to reveal something that way. And whether that's on chain or off chain, those verifications could be made. There's different things, like, you know, that become possible, and I think after this base layer is built, those are going to be very interesting things to explore. We've got some good feedback as well from the chat. It looks like Ruth has enjoyed, and same with Info Create. And then we have a question from Archie. Hello, Archie. Good to
hey, Archie.
And he's asking, where do we donate to the pilot?
That's sweet. yeah, Brett probably has the best way to get, you know what? I'll ask him. I'll ask Dustin. Well, and because Archie, you're in, if I'm, well, I guess I don't want to out anybody's locations, but it's a Colorado organization, a Concrete Couch. And yeah, I mean, concretecouch.org, and I bet they have a donate right on the website, you know.
I think maybe he was asking, how does he donate to the pilot of
Yeah.
TracePort?
Yes. Donate
Pilot.
to you.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. You missed the
But
opportunity.
you can still send him to me if you want.
Gosh, I haven't thought about that, but it's interesting. I know some organizations that are bootstrapping, like I am, do crowdsourcing type, crowdfunding type, and I haven't thought that far, but I mean, that's so sweet. And I'm kind of at a stage right now where I don't have any outbound fundraising going on because I really want to keep control as much as possible. But I am at the point where that's going to become quite necessary quite soon. So yeah, I don't have a donation address.
Well,
But
we
thank
can.
you. The intent is wonderful, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, and we can check out the links. Maybe we can look at the website for that charity and put it in the chat here. And that way, if anybody wants to show their support to that particular charity, just for, you know, being a pioneer and a first mover, maybe in
Yeah.
in pushing something forward, I'm sure that they would appreciate the contributions.
Absolutely. That's such a great idea, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we should, you know, we in BSV, we have some people too, right? Like we can give these people a platform and show them some love for you know, checking us out and you know, exploring the potential of our technology as well. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell them to get a Metanet client. That's what we want to.
well, I mean, and I think we in BSV we can show support for these people in return, right? That's kind of how it works. And yeah, there's the link right there. So it's up on screen, and certainly, you know, by all means, check them out. This has been a really awesome Metanet meetup, and I'm really grateful to Bridget as well as Brett for coming up here and talking about what you guys are doing to use this technology for good and to promote you know, just transparency and a really stellar use case that has some potential to
Thank
work
you.
in the real world.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you. If anyone knows of charities that might want to become a pilot, please have them reach out to me. You can say hello at TracePort.io, or me on Twitter is HB Gnostic. My DMs are open. Yeah, lots of ways to connect with me. On TracePort, there's a link to LinkedIn. The website is TracePort.io. There we go.
very good. Yeah, go check out TracePort.io, everybody. Yeah, you know, I'm excited to see where this goes in the future. I'd love to have you guys back to give an update about your guys' progress as this continues to develop and as you continue to use it in new ways across some of the other industries that you're going after as well, for you know, business data attestation. So congratulations, and
Thank you.
well, are there any more questions? If not, I mean, I think that we can bring this to a close, and yeah, definitely excited to see more of these types of use cases emerge. The technologies that we work on every day, bringing those into the real world, that's really what it's about. That's why we're all here. So yeah, looking
Can
forward
I
to it.
say one more thing before you close, Ty?
Sure.
I want to wait till the end because I already talked with Bridget a little bit offline. I want to give other people an opportunity to speak first. But I think firstly, great presentation, and I think you're doing great work. Congrats
you.
on having a customer that's
Hmm.
you're ahead of the curve, and with most of the people in DSV, so that's great. And one more thing, I was thinking about the charities, which charities. I think and this is not just, this is like a general consideration, I would say for anyone, also for myself, is that I'm really trying to think about who are the customers of my customers? Like who are the people that I'm serving? And what are the customers of my customers? What are the demands? What is the intrinsic motivation of the people that use my tools? Such that, that reflect whatever business needs they have from their customers. And I think in the industry that you're focusing on, organizations or charities that focus on financial transparency in particular, anti-corruption basically, they are intrinsically motivated because their backers, they demand that from them as well. So I think that might also be low-hanging fruit for the tooling that you're building. So I put a link to one of those in the chat.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Perfect. I got it. All right. Yeah. Thanks everyone for wherever people have tuned in. I appreciate it. And happy to connect with anyone about if you have questions about what I'm up to and what we're doing and all that. And thank you, Ty, for the platform. And I'm also going through the Metanet Academy now. So putting more of the pieces together of what you're all doing there, which is exciting. So.
Yeah. We do have one final question in the chat that we'll get to. So next meetup is going to be Friday,
January 2nd.
2nd.
I answered in the chat, but it's good we put it up here.
So it's going to be the way it works is it's the first and third Friday of every month. And we're going to try to be as reliable as we can with that schedule. So Friday, January 2nd, we will have another Metanet meetup and another great presentation. And so you can check that out on metanetmeetup.com. Of course, for those that are not on the Metanet, you can go to getmetanet.com. If you want to monetize BRC 100 applications, go.projectbabbage.com. And if you want to check out some cool Metanet apps, then you can go to metanetapps.com. If you want to learn to be a developer, and I think Bridget, you mentioned it briefly, you can go to metanetacademy.com where you can get hands-on training and interactive labs with instructor feedback for essentially just giving yourself these skills to build things in this way and to be part of this and help make it happen. So good career skills in there. Metanetacademy.com. And yeah, so stay tuned for the next one, guys. Friday, January 2nd. And I'm looking forward to it. Thanks everybody for such a great meetup, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Bridget.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.